Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling completely drained, as if your energy had been siphoned away? You might not have realized it at the time, but you were likely dealing with a toxic person. These individuals can be found anywhere, within families, friendships, workplaces, or even romantic relationships. Their behavior is often manipulative, controlling, and emotionally exhausting. The key to protecting your well-being is recognizing these patterns and learning how to distance yourself effectively. The Stoics believed that our greatest power lies in controlling our own minds. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Toxic people infiltrate our minds with negativity, distorting our perception of reality. The more time we spend entangled in their chaos, the harder it becomes to maintain our inner peace. Identifying these individuals is not about labeling or blaming, it is about self-preservation. A toxic person is not just someone who occasionally complains or has a bad day. Rather, they exhibit a consistent pattern of manipulation, unpredictability, and emotional instability. Some do this consciously, while others are trapped in their own unresolved traumas. According to Epictetus, people are not disturbed by things, but by the view they take of them. This means that while we cannot always avoid encountering toxic people, we can control how much influence they have over our emotional state. Many toxic behaviors stem from deeply rooted personal struggles, narcissism, insecurity, or unresolved childhood trauma. Some individuals have learned to control others as a means of coping with their own suffering. This does not excuse their actions, but it does highlight the importance of setting boundaries. Seneca warned about the dangers of allowing others to dictate our emotional state, saying, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." The more we internalize the negativity of toxic individuals, the more we give them power over our lives. By cultivating self-awareness and discipline, we can begin to separate ourselves from the emotional traps they set. The first step is recognizing the warning signs. If you constantly feel like you're walking on eggshells around someone, if their mood swings dictate your peace of mind, or if their words leave you doubting your own worth, it may be time to reconsider that relationship. As Marcus Aurelius wisely put it, reject your sense of injury, and the injury itself disappears. True emotional freedom comes from within. If we choose to prioritize our well-being, we can reclaim our peace and avoid the mental exhaustion caused by toxic relationships. The Stoics remind us that while we cannot change others, we can always choose how we respond. A toxic person is someone who consistently engages in self-centered, manipulative, or emotionally draining behavior. This is not about occasional mood swings or moments of stress. Everyone has those. The real issue lies in patterns of behavior that create an environment of tension, guilt, or uncertainty. Some toxic people use emotional manipulation to control others, while others are deeply insecure and project their pain onto those around them. Many of these behaviors originate from unresolved personal struggles. Childhood trauma, narcissistic tendencies, or even fear of abandonment can drive toxic individuals to act in destructive ways. According to Epictetus, if someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. This means that while their behavior may be damaging, the true power lies in whether or not we allow it to control us. Toxicity is not always intentional. Some people are unaware of the impact of their actions, trapped in their own suffering. Others, however, deliberately manipulate and control those around them. This is why setting boundaries is essential. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. If we allow toxic individuals to consume our mental space, we risk adopting their negativity as our own. Identifying toxic behavior is the first step toward regaining control. When you find yourself questioning your worth, doubting your decisions, or feeling drained after every interaction with someone, it is time to assess that relationship. Not every battle is worth fighting, and not every person deserves a place in your life. Seneca wisely said, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you." If someone consistently brings chaos into your life, it may be time to walk away. Ultimately, the Stoics teach us that while we cannot change others, we can always change our response to them. A toxic person only has power over you if you give it to them. By cultivating inner strength and discipline, we can learn to detach from negativity and focus on what truly matters, our own peace of mind. One common sign of a toxic person is the feeling that you must measure every word and action carefully around them. If you find yourself constantly adjusting your behavior to avoid setting them off, you're likely walking on eggshells. A healthy relationship should not feel like an unpredictable science experiment where you must anticipate someone's mood swings to avoid conflict. As Marcus Aurelius said, "Reject your sense of injury, and the injury itself disappears." This means that we must recognize when we are giving others the power to control our emotional state. Another sign is the deliberate refusal to communicate or engage in meaningful discussion. Toxic individuals often use this as a tool to avoid accountability, dismissing your feelings and shutting down conversations that require emotional maturity. This extreme form of silent treatment creates a barrier, making it impossible to resolve issues. According to Epictetus, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. If someone refuses to engage in a conversation and instead withdraws as a way to control the situation, you must decide whether their silence is something you are willing to tolerate. Emotional inconsistency is another clear indicator of toxicity. These individuals can go from joyfully enthusiastic to irrationally angry within moments, often blaming those around them for their extreme emotional shifts. Their unpredictability keeps you in a constant state of stress, wondering which version of them you will encounter next. This kind of instability forces you to absorb their emotions, making you feel responsible for their happiness or frustration. But as Seneca wisely pointed out, he suffers more than necessary, who suffers before it is necessary. If you live in constant anticipation of someone else's reactions, you are sacrificing your peace for their unpredictability. Toxic people also have a way of making you feel guilty for prioritizing yourself. They expect constant validation and attention, making you feel selfish for taking care of your own needs. They may downplay your achievements, shift focus back to themselves, or even act hurt when you do something that does not center around them. But self-care is not selfish, it is essential. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." No one should make you feel guilty for prioritizing your own well-being. Recognizing these signs is essential for protecting your mental and emotional health. Toxic individuals thrive on control and emotional manipulation, but their power over you only exists if you allow it. The Stoics remind us that while we cannot change others, we can always choose how we respond. If a relationship forces you to compromise your inner peace, it may be time to reevaluate its place in your life. An important step in dealing with toxic people is attempting direct communication. If the relationship is good to you, it may be worth addressing your concerns. Some people are unaware of their toxic behaviors and may be open to change when approached honestly. Express your boundaries clearly and observe their reaction. Are they willing to listen, or do they dismiss your concerns? As Epictetus said, before you try to change others, remember how difficult it is to change yourself. If someone is unwilling to acknowledge their impact on you, that is a sign that your well-being is not their priority. When direct conversation does not lead to change, the next step is to limit your exposure. This can be challenging, especially if the toxic person is a co-worker, family member, or someone you cannot completely remove from your life. However, reducing the time spent around them and avoiding unnecessary interactions can help you regain emotional balance. As Seneca advised, associate with those who will make a better man of you. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve. You do not have to cut ties completely to protect your peace. You just need to be intentional about where you invest your energy. Another essential strategy is setting clear and firm boundaries. Toxic people often test limits, pushing until they get what they want. If you allow them to cross one boundary, they will continue to push further. Recognize what behaviors you will not tolerate and stand by those decisions. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. You are not responsible for how others react to your boundaries. You are only responsible for enforcing them. In some cases, the healthiest choice is to walk away completely. If a relationship is causing more harm than good, holding on to it out of obligation or guilt will only prolong your suffering. Letting go does not mean you hate the person. It means you are choosing yourself. Epictetus put it simply, don't explain your philosophy. Embody it. If someone repeatedly disregards your feelings, manipulates your emotions, or drains your mental energy, the most powerful action you can take is to remove yourself from their influence. Detaching from toxic people is not about anger or revenge. It is about reclaiming your peace. The Stoics teach us that we are the only ones responsible for our own happiness. If someone is preventing you from being at peace, it is time to reevaluate their place in your life. Your energy is valuable. Spend it on relationships that uplift and strengthen you, not those that weaken your spirit. Many people hesitate to distance themselves from toxic individuals out of guilt, obligation, or fear of confrontation. But the truth is, you owe no one access to your peace of mind. The Stoics taught that true strength lies in mastering our reactions rather than trying to change the people around us. When we allow toxic individuals to dictate our emotions, we are handing them power that should belong only to us. Freedom from toxicity starts with a mindset shift. Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This means that while you cannot control how others behave, you can always control how you respond. Instead of reacting emotionally to toxic behavior, practice detachment. When someone tries to provoke you, recognize their actions for what they are, a reflection of their own inner turmoil, not yours. Letting go of toxic relationships does not mean you are weak or selfish. On the contrary, it is an act of self-respect. Seneca wrote, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you." If someone consistently brings negativity into your life, you must ask yourself, do they make you better, or do they drain your energy? If the answer is the latter, then keeping them in your life is a disservice to yourself. Walking away is not about anger or resentment. It is about reclaiming your peace. Many people fear setting boundaries because they do not want to be seen as cruel or heartless. But Epictetus reminds us, we should not moor a ship with one anchor, nor life with one hope. Your well-being should never depend on the approval of others. When you remove yourself from toxic situations, you open space for healthier relationships and a more fulfilling life. The journey to emotional freedom requires discipline and self-awareness. Toxic people thrive on emotional reactions. They feed off guilt, drama, and control. By practicing the Stoic mindset, you deny them the fuel they need to manipulate you. Marcus Aurelius said, "Reject your sense of injury, and the injury itself disappears." If you refuse to be offended, hurt, or provoked, toxic individuals lose their influence over you. The most powerful lesson the Stoics offer is that happiness is an internal state, not something determined by external forces. If a relationship is robbing you of joy and inner peace, it is time to let it go. Seneca's words are a perfect reminder. He who fears death will never do anything worthy of a living man. This applies not only to the fear of death, but to the fear of change. Letting go of toxic people may feel uncomfortable at first, but it is necessary for your growth. True strength lies in knowing when to stay and when to walk away. Toxic people will always exist, but their influence over you is only as strong as you allow it to be. By prioritizing your peace, setting firm boundaries, and mastering your reactions, you reclaim control over your life. The path to emotional freedom begins with a single choice: to stop allowing toxic people to define your reality. Have you ever had to set boundaries or walk away from a toxic relationship? Let's discuss. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss valuable content like this.